Chobani Flip Almond Coco Loco might look like a wholesome treat, but its sugary toppings and dessert-like flavor are just the beginning of yogurt's deception. Chuan Yo Plate and Yo Plate, once childhood staples, are now loaded with so much added sugar they more closely resemble dessert cups than health food. Ford's animal smoothies and snack packs, pushed as kid-friendly prime young palates for lifelong sugar cravings. And it doesn't stop there. Danone and OS 000, with their zero sugar and high protein claims, swap sweetness for synthetic stabilizers and artificial sweeteners, undermining the very nutrition they market. These 6 brands may dominate grocery aisles, but behind their glossy labels lies a shared formula, processed ingredients, engineered textures, and health-washed marketing that distances them from what yogurt was ever meant to be. What these brands lack, authenticity, simplicity, and nourishment, is exactly what makes Siggi's Plain Icelandic Sky and Phage Total 5% stand out. These 2 brands return to yogurt's roots, minimal ingredients, traditional fermentation, and no shortcuts. Instead of chasing trends or disguising additives under wellness claims, they stay grounded in real food values. In a landscape overrun by convenience and flavor tricks, Siggi's and Phage quietly prove that real yogurt doesn't need to shout. If you're tired of being lied to, if you're ready to expose the truth they don't want you to know, then don't just watch, join this fight. Hit subscribe right now so you never miss the facts the corporations hope you'll ignore. Every new video pulls back the curtain a little more, and together we're building a movement they can't silence. Subscribe, stay informed, and let's take back control, one truth at a time. It just needs to be made right. Yogurt used to mean something. It used to be simple, milk and live cultures, a food rooted in tradition, in patience, in nourishment. But today, walk down the dairy aisle, and you're hit with packaging that screams gut health, high protein, low sugar, probiotic boost, while inside, it's a sugar bomb, dressed up in wellness drag. The gap between what's sold and what's actually served has never been wider. Let's get one thing straight. Yogurt should not be a dessert pretending to be health food, and yet that's exactly what most brands have become. Processed, artificial sweetened sludge engineered to create cravings, not to nourish your body. If you think you're doing your gut a favor by grabbing any yogurt off the shelf with a probiotic label, think again. Some of the worst offenders? The same companies many of us grew up with. Chuan Yo Plate and Yo Plate are peddling nostalgia while quietly dumping spoonfuls of sugar into every cup. These childhood favorites, marketed with cartoons, pink foil lids, and fruit flavors, contain twice the sugar of plain yogurt. That's not a snack. That's a setup that trains children's taste buds to crave sugar, starting from the moment they peel back that lid. The damage isn't just short-term. These ultra-sweet yogurts hardwire a preference for hyper-sweetness that can haunt people well into adulthood, warping their relationship with food for decades. And it's not just the kids getting fooled. Adults are being conned by another group of yogurts dressed in gym clothes. Danone and OS 000 slap on zero sugar and high protein like gold stars. But what are they really selling? Artificial sweeteners, stabilizers, thickeners, engineered mouthfeel. These aren't simple foods. They're laboratory products, optimized for shelf life and profit margins, not for human health. Zero sugar. At what cost? These ultra-processed light yogurts often taste eerily sweet thanks to synthetic additives, but they lack the complexity, the richness, the life of real yogurt, the probiotics. They might be there, but when they're drowned in a sea of additives and stabilizers, how much good are they really doing? A product designed for efficiency isn't the same as a product designed for vitality. Then there's the candy aisle, disguised as a dairy section. Chobani Flip Almond Coco Loco, a yogurt so packed with sugary toppings, syrups, and processed bits that it's closer to a dessert tray than anything that should be sold with a health halo. These Franken snacks are marketed as indulgent yet nutritious, a treat you can feel good about. But what you're actually getting is a flavor bomb loaded with sweeteners and additives. It's a product built for impulsive cravings, not lasting nourishment. And we haven't even talked about the worst culprits targeting children. Ford animal smoothies and other bottled yogurt packs aimed at school lunches and snack times are nutritional Trojan horses. Bright colors, cute mascots, and fun flavors mask the staggering amount of added sugar. These are not balanced meals. They're pipelines to sugar addiction. They mold kids' palates to expect sweetness as the baseline, and they do it under the illusion of healthy dairy. This isn't a one-off issue, this is systemic. It's the industrialization of yogurt, where traditional fermentation has been replaced by artificial shortcuts, where food scientists build products backwards from profit margins, where companies manipulate taste and texture to make you crave more, buy more, and think you're doing your body a favor, but you're not. You're just eating dressed-up junk. Yogurt is supposed to be alive. It's supposed to ferment slowly. It's supposed to be made from a handful of ingredients. That's it. When did we forget that? And yes, there are a few brands that still get it right. Siggi's Plain Icelandic Sky and Phage Total 5% are two brands that haven't sold out to the processed food machine. These yogurts are what yogurt should be. Milk and live cultures. That's it. No syrups, no stabilizers, no cookie crumble toppings, no artificial sweeteners with names you can't pronounce. Just real simple ingredients, fermented slowly, with care. You can taste the difference because they haven't stripped out the essence of what makes yogurt real. Siggi stands for tradition. It's thick, rich, tangy, and made with nothing more than what you'd use in your own kitchen. No sugar bombs, no fake flavors. Phage Total 5%, same story. Creamy, natural, and balanced. A yogurt that respects your body, not one that's trying to trick it. These brands don't need flashy marketing tricks because their product speaks for itself. Their ingredient lists are short because they aren't trying to hide anything. They haven't abandoned the core of yogurt in favor of shelf appeal, and that's exactly why they stand out in a sea of engineered imposters. If you care about what goes into your body and into your children's, you can't afford to ignore this. Reading the label is no longer optional, it's mandatory, because the front of the package is a lie. Gut health, wellness, zero sugar, natural flavors. These words have been weaponized to sell you something that's lost all connection to real food. There is no shortcut to nourishment. You can't engineer wellness in a lab and stuff it into a plastic cup with 16 grams of sugar. Real yogurt takes time. It takes patience. It doesn't need neon colors or dessert-inspired names. It needs milk, cultures, and care. And if that sounds boring to some, so be it, because what's exciting is knowing exactly what you're putting into your body. What's thrilling is feeding your family food that you trust. What's powerful is rejecting the manipulation of marketing and choosing what's real. The yogurt industry has sold out. Most brands have become vessels for sugar, stabilizers, and synthetic ingredients, all while co-opting the language of health and tradition. But a few brands, like Siggi's and Phage, still hold the line. They prove that simplicity is not just enough, it's superior. They prove that food doesn't need to be complicated to be good. It just needs to be honest. So the next time you're in the grocery store, don't fall for the front of the package. Turn it around. Look at what's actually inside. If the ingredient list is longer than a sentence, put it back. If the sugar content matches a candy bar, walk away. If you see artificial sweeteners, thickeners, or cartoon animals, don't take the bait. Choose yogurt that respects your intelligence, your health, and your body. Choose yogurt that hasn't been twisted into something it was never meant to be. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more no-nonsense food deep dives, and share this with someone who still thinks light yogurt is good for them. Let's bring real yogurt back, one label at a time. Let's get something straight. This isn't about being a food snob. This is about honesty, about cutting through the noise of flashy labels, health buzzwords, and deceptive marketing tactics that are designed to confuse you into thinking you're making the right choice. Because let's be real, most people walk into the dairy aisle trying to make a good decision. They want to eat healthy. They see probiotics, Greek style, organic, low fat, zero sugar, and assume it must be a decent option. They trust that food companies wouldn't sell something with a halo of wellness if it wasn't at least halfway decent for their body. But trust has been exploited, weaponized, flipped against the consumer. Let's talk about those high-protein yogurts again, the Danone and OS 000 types. These yogurts boast about packing in protein and leaving out the sugar. But look at the label. What replaces sugar? Sucralose, acesulfame potassium, modified cornstarch, gums, carrageenan, artificial flavors. It's a Frankenstein list that reads more like a chemistry set than a snack. And let's not pretend we know the long-term long-term effects of dumping artificial sweeteners into our system every single day. These aren't just placeholders for sugar. They're engineered substances designed to keep you hooked, to hit the same pleasure receptors, without delivering real nourishment. That's the trick. Taste without substance, flavor without nutrients, sweetness without calories, but also without anything your body can use. And that trick isn't harmless, because the more of these artificially sweetened, hyper-engineered wellness yogurts you eat, the harder it becomes to enjoy the real thing. Your taste buds get trained to expect that punch of fake sweetness, that slick texture, that artificial satisfaction. Then you try a real plain yogurt, and it tastes sour, bland too, thick. That's not because the real yogurt is bad. It's because your senses have been hijacked. It's not just a product failure. It's a system failure. A failure of trust. And it's everywhere. Take a walk back to the fun yogurts. Chobani Flip, for example. A yogurt cup with its own topping compartment. Sounds cute, right? But it's pure indulgence disguised as health. Cocoa-covered nuts, candy bits, sweet syrups. It's a dessert in disguise, sold as a snack. And it works because people want convenience. People want to believe that they can have it all, dessert and health in one go. But you can't. You don't get to have the sweetness of a candy bar, the shelf life of a brick, and the gut health of an ancient fermented food all at once. That's not how nature works. That's how corporations work. And it shows. Then there's the emotional manipulation. Think of how these brands advertise to parents. Ford animal smoothies, cartoon characters, bright colors, fun caps, made for kids. What parent wouldn't grab that off the shelf, thinking they're doing their child a favor? But again, flip the label. Those smoothies have sugar levels that rival soda. They're training children to expect every healthy food to taste like candy, to associate yogurt not with gut health and real food, but with fun colors and hyper-sweet flavor. And these aren't small indulgences. They're daily habits, lunchbox staples, after-school snacks. It's the normalization of sugar saturation, starting at age 3. And that sugar habit, it doesn't fade. It morphs, it escalates, because once your palate is trained for constant sweetness, plain fruit tastes dull, vegetables taste bitter, real yogurt, unthinkable. This is how food addiction begins. This is how dietary preferences are shaped, not in adulthood, but in childhood, by food companies playing long games with people's health. Let's not sugarcoat this. These brands are not just selling bad yogurt, they're selling disordered eating patterns. They're normalizing artificial food systems that divorce people from real nourishment. Meanwhile, what does real yogurt do? It nourishes. It feeds the gut microbiome. It offers fat and protein in balanced form. It contains live cultures that support digestion, immunity, and nutrient absorption. But only if it's made right. Only if it's allowed to ferment slowly, without all the junk additives. Only if it's made from real milk, not ultra-processed skim, not powdered additives, and actual bacterial cultures. That's what makes brands like Siggi's and Phage Total so rare. They haven't compromised. They haven't flavored their way into your fridge. They don't rely on bright packaging or cutesy names. They don't need to. Their product speaks for itself. Thick, creamy, tangy, and deeply satisfying. It's not just a snack, it's real food. Siggi's Icelandic-style yogurt uses traditional straining methods to remove excess whey, resulting in a dense protein-rich product that still feels authentic, because it is. There's no marketing gimmick, no sugar trap, just quality. Phage Total 5% is another rare find. Full fat, rich and natural flavor, with nothing added that doesn't belong. It's yogurt the way it's been made for centuries. Not dressed up, not diluted, not re-engineered for the American palate, just good, simple food. And that's what this is all about, recognizing that simple food is powerful, that the best ingredients are the ones left untouched, that food doesn't need to be modified to be meaningful, that nourishment comes from care and craft, not chemistry. But here's the problem. We've been taught to distrust plain food. We've been trained to think that if it isn't sweet, if it doesn't taste like dessert, if it doesn't have sprinkles or caramel swirls or cookie pieces, it's somehow lacking. That's not just a lie. That's a manipulation. And it's time to push back. You have every right to demand better from your food. You have every right to read the label and say, no thanks. You have every right to opt out of the sugar trap, the artificial flavor game, the probiotic scam. You don't have to accept that yogurt must be a dessert. You don't have to feed your kids cartoon-branded sugar bombs. You don't have to pretend that artificial sweeteners are somehow a win because they shaved off 10 calories. You have better options. You deserve better options. And the best part, the real stuff is out there. You just have to look a little harder, read a little closer, care a little more. Start with the ingredient list. Real yogurt has 2, maybe 3 ingredients: milk, cultures, and sometimes cream. That's it. No added sugar, no fake fruit flavors, no cornstarch, no gelatin, no asulfame potassium. Look at the sugar content. Plain yogurt will have a small amount, naturally occurring from milk. Flavored yogurt, often loaded, 12, 15, even 20 grams of added sugar in a tiny cup. That's dessert, not dairy. Look at the texture. Real yogurt may separate a bit. That's natural. That's normal. That's alive. If it's always thick, always smooth, always perfectly shelf-stable for months, that's not yogurt, that's product. It comes down to this: food can either serve your body or serve someone's profit margin. And most mainstream yogurt brands have made their choice clear. And here's the part nobody wants to say out loud. The yogurt aisle is a battleground. It's where wellness marketing meets corporate manipulation. It's where your good intentions are twisted into profit. Because if you think the yogurt industry is about health anymore, you haven't looked close enough. It's about engineered loyalty, manufactured cravings, lifetime customers who think they're being healthy when they're actually being hooked. And this manipulation is not accidental, it's strategic. These companies know what they're doing. They've spent years refining their tactics. They've studied consumer psychology. They understand that if they slap high protein or Greek style on the front, most people won't turn the package around. They know that if they inject just enough artificial sweetness to trigger the dopamine response, without the calories, they've got you. They've learned how to use buzzwords like immune support, light, low fat, and organic to override your skepticism. And the irony, the more healthy a yogurt looks, the more likely it is to be loaded with garbage. Just walk into a store, count how many brands have turned yogurt into candy, with sprinkles, chocolate chips, granola sugar clusters, or caramel sauces, all under the guise of health. Some even market themselves as breakfast, a complete joke when you realize you're starting your day with the sugar equivalent of a donut. You're not choosing breakfast, you're being sold a dessert in disguise, day after day, believing it's doing your body good. This is why real yogurt, like Siggi's and Phage, feels like a rebellion, because it doesn't try to seduce you, it doesn't dress itself up, it doesn't pretend, it's just food, real unprocessed, undiluted food. That shouldn't be revolutionary, but in today's marketplace, it absolutely is. And the crazy part, when you switch to real yogurt, when you give your palate time to reset, you start to taste things you forgot were even there. The tang of fermentation, the richness of whole milk, the natural complexity of something that wasn't made in a lab. It satisfies in a way that fake food never can. But you have to want that. You have to unlearn what the industry taught you. That sugar is normal, that artificial sweetness is harmless, that yogurt needs a topping to be enjoyable, that low fat is better, that Greek style means something. Spoiler, it doesn't. Most of these Greek yogurts, they're not Greek. They're not even traditionally strained. They're just thickened with gums and stabilizers to feel like the real thing. That's the game. Recreate the texture, mimic the richness, fake the health benefits, and pray you don't read the label. And when it comes to kids, the damage is even worse, because children aren't reading labels. Parents are trying to make the right call, trusting the words on the front, but they're being misled, manipulated into choosing sugar-packed smoothies, squeezable tubes, and colorful cups that do nothing for a child's development, and everything for a company's bottom line. The saddest part, real yogurt is perfect for kids. It's full of beneficial bacteria. It's easy to digest. It's nutrient dense, especially when made from whole milk. But instead of introducing them to these real foods early, we hand them hyper-sweetened, ultra-processed imitations, and call it a healthy snack. So the cycle continues. Cravings deepen, habits form, and a generation grows up believing yogurt tastes like sugar and chemicals, because that's all they've ever known. That's the real cost of these fake yogurts. Not just poor nutrition, but a broken food culture. A population that doesn't know what real food tastes like anymore. But it doesn't have to be this way, because the truth is, real yogurt is still out there. It hasn't disappeared. It's just
just been buried, drowned under marketing campaigns and shelf-stable lies. But once you know what to look for, it's easy to spot. Short ingredient list: whole milk, live cultures, no added sugars, no fake sweeteners, no artificial flavorings. That's the baseline. And the taste: once you recalibrate your palate, nothing else compares. It's rich, it's satisfying, it doesn't leave you crashing an hour later, it nourishes, without manipulation. That's what food should do. So the next time you're in the dairy aisle, ignore the noise, walk past the cartoon mascots, skip the light versions, avoid the candy corner disguised as health food, and go straight to what's real. If you have to stir in your own fruit, do it. If it tastes a little sour at first, that's your palate detoxing. That's your body remembering what real food is supposed to feel like. Choose better, not just for your health, but for your sense of trust, for your awareness, for your kids. Don't be fooled again. If this gave you a wake-up call, hit that like button, subscribe for more truth, without the fluff, and send this to someone who still thinks all yogurt is healthy. Let's help each other cut through the lies, and start demanding better.